So, Doctor Who's been cancelled. We've all got to have a hot take. Here's mine. Good. It's the wilderness years. Make the most of them. Carpe diem. Don't miss out on any opportunities from the wilderness years like I might have done the first time round. You see, in 1989, I was working for Doctor Who magazine. I was doing a strip called The Comic Assassins, where we used to do parodies of the current episodes. So Sylvester McCoy was playing the Doctor, and we did The Curse of Fenric and whatever the most recent episodes were. And then the series got cancelled, and we kept carrying on doing parodies of the VHS releases, and we kept going until 1993, when I think it was realised that the series wasn't coming back, and so our strip stopped coming back. But it was the wilderness years, and there were people out there who were still keeping the flame alive. But I wasn't one of them. I sort of shied away from Doctor Who. I said, oh, I don't want to have anything to do with this. In fact, at a party around 1996 or 7, I had the chance to meet this young fella. He was a student, I think, or even a school chap. And he was a friend of a friend. And someone said, oh, you've got to meet this guy. He's a big Doctor Who fan. I said, no, I don't want to talk about Doctor Who. He's going to ask me about Doctor Who magazine. Clayton Hickman was his name, who I just didn't want to talk to because he wanted to talk about Doctor Who. He went on, of course, to be the editor of Doctor Who magazine and a big name in the Doctor Who circles. At the same time, Paul Cornell was a friend of a friend. I met him. We worked with a TV producer, a radio producer called Paul Z. Jackson. But whenever the talk would go to Doctor Who, I didn't want anything to do with Doctor Who. I saw Paul, he was in a pub, he was having a chat with Stephen Moffat, who I vaguely recognised because he'd done some writing on the telly, but I didn't want to talk about Doctor Who. Who wanted to talk about Doctor Who? And I bumped into, or was introduced to Mark Gatiss. Again, there was a person I knew who was a friend of a friend, and I was doing some writing at the BBC. I had a sitcom pilot made, and he said, this is my friend Mark. But I didn't want to talk about Doctor Who. This was just before or about the time of the League of Gentlemen breaking. And all these people wanted to talk about Doctor Who. They wanted to do Doctor Who fan fiction. They did Doctor Who novelisations. Some of them, if they were lucky, Paul Cornell did. They did Doctor Who audio dramas. They went to Doctor Who conventions. And I did not want to have anything to do with that. As a result, I didn't become part of that group, who included Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat and all of the people who went on 10 years later to write the TV series. So, although it's probably a bit late for me to be one of the bright young things out there now, there's 20-somethings. You might be one of them. Nobody does this with Steed and Mrs. Peel's The Avengers or with The Prisoner. We don't all bemoan the fact that Captain Scarlet hasn't been rebooted this year, or that Dan Dare and Thunderbirds haven't been. In fact, they probably have been and we didn't care. But Doctor Who, there's something different about Doctor Who, and I don't know what it is. All I'm saying is, it's the wilderness years. I enjoyed the wilderness years.